And the one thing I have learned in this city is nothing stays a secret. I am absolutely stunned this stayed a secret. But our media extraordinaire, Sonny Schubert from the local Herald Independent, has been bird dogging this for weeks. And so I promised she would get the exclusive. So she called last week to confirm I'm resigning and moving to Ireland in the morning. So when I shared that news with Pat, he said, just hold off a little bit, please. So I'm going to hang in for mayor for a little bit, and I'll leave it up to the public to decide. But I don't know if you can see, but I've got goosebumps. I'm a positive person. I'm optimistic. I love Monona, but I've never been as excited as I am today to be here. And starting with this turnout is just incredible. So, good morning. I'm Mayor Bob Miller, and on behalf of the Monona City Council and the Community Development Authority, I truly would like to welcome you all to the unveiling of an incredibly exciting project that will dramatically improve the quality of life for all Monona residents, while also helping to ensure our financial stability for years and years to come. This project builds from the city's outstanding track record of facilitating the redevelopment of several key areas in our community. Examples being most recently Pier 37, Ahuska Park, and most recently Fairway Glen Apartments on our award-winning, newly rebuilt Monona Drive. I always have to get that in. But more importantly, it takes us well beyond to the next level in terms of overall benefits to the community. So how did this all come about today? The area we're focused on today is the triangle of land bound by the Yahara River, Broadway Avenue, and Bridge Road. And hopefully you can see the triangle, and maybe even this is even a little clearer, where we are today. We're sitting right here at Monona State Bank. The genesis of this project began last May, yes, only 11 months ago, after hearing numerous complaints from residents and businesses about the increasing number of vacant properties in this immediate area. In investigating those further, it quickly became apparent to the City Council, CDA, and to me that there could be a once-in-a-generation opportunity that was here to provide public access to the waterfront through the assembly of several properties in this area to create a significant project for the city. We quickly sought out financial, legal, and development opinions and advice from experts who readily agreed that this was, indeed, a unique opportunity and that increasingly remarkable market conditions made this an excellent time to move forward with something this ambitious. The City Council then authorized our City Attorney, William Cole, to begin meeting with property owners to discuss acquisition through strictly, and I stress strictly, voluntary means. Those negotiations have just concluded exactly at 7:39 last night, as I was celebrating my wife's birthday and had to be excused. But that's a whole different story. Those negotiations have just concluded, and I'm thrilled to report that we have secured title or options on all 5 of the properties you see here. Further, this not only leaves Monona State Bank, this beautiful facility right here, which has been the anchor, and the Four Lakes Yacht Club, they're left intact, but it will greatly improve their surroundings and allow both of them to thrive as never before. So what are our objectives? In assembling these properties and seeking developers, we have established several critical objectives for this project. These include, the most important, number 1, maximizing public access to the waterfront for all residents. Number 2, removing significant blight at this important gateway to our community. I'd like you, I'll buy the first beer if somebody can find where the only bit of green is in this 10-acre parcel. So we want to improve upon that. We want to clean up any known environmental issues and improve water quality. Anyone who knows me, so I've made a lifelong commitment to these Yahara lakes and really want to improve them and believe they will be in my lifetime. And finally, producing perhaps an 8 to 10-fold increase in the taxable value of this incredibly important site. The Monona Riverfront Triangle Project, as we're currently, still doesn't flow off my tongue quickly, as we're currently calling it, will be a dynamic, mixed-use development that will accomplish these objectives. As I will explain in a minute, the city will follow an extensive process to find qualified developers and evaluate specific project proposals. But our overall vision for this site includes the following. And again, these are just concepts. Nothing is carved in stone, but we would desire a public riverfront area that will serve as the project's centerpiece, which could include amenities such as a boardwalk or a promenade, public art, a small performance space, outdoor dining, which everyone in Monona begs for, among others. Also, a mix of commercial, residential, and office uses that could include a hotel, restaurants, a variety of shops, residential units, and or professional offices. Improved and safer vehicular and pedestrian access to the site. Again, you will note, try to figure out how to weave your way through these corridors through all of this. There is no straight through access. We want to improve a focus on sustainability, including stormwater management, water quality improvements to the Yahara River, and energy efficient buildings. And finally, a recognized waterfront destination and a gathering space that the entire community can feel a part of and take great pride in Monona. So what is our process? Today is just, unfortunately, the first step in a well-planned process that will help us identify the most qualified local and national developers and to work with our residents to evaluate specific proposals to find the one that best fits our many projected objectives. As shown on this chart, there and there, as shown on this chart, our process includes several parallel efforts to move this process along as quickly as possible. And I will note, those of you who are a lot smarter than me will go, no way. As a lot of people who are a lot smarter than me, when I've shared this with them a year ago, the vision, said, okay, talk to me in 5 years. So in 11 months, we've done what some of the most professional people said would be a minimum of 5 years. So just watch us. Our developer selection process includes 2 basic steps. One, it starts with a request for qualifications that will be widely distributed both locally, and I hope we get local response, and nationally to help find those with the right experience and a high level of interest. This will begin this very month upon the CDA's approval of the final solicitation document. Secondly, from the responses to the RFQ, we will create a short list of the most qualified firms from whom we will seek detailed project proposals. The proposals will be evaluated based on their consistency with our overall objectives and the overall needs of our community. While we are hoping to expedite the process as much as possible, getting this right from the get-go is far more important than speed. We estimate that the developer and project selection process will take the better part of this year. Given the size of this site, development may very well be phased and take a few years after that to be fully completed. Concurrent with our development selection process, we may seek to create a tax increment finance district and statutory redevelopment area. And I do want to point out, for those of you who haven't, Monona is completely landlocked. We have absolutely no ability to grow outside of our current borders. And those borders require infill redevelopment. And not all of us, myself included, until I got involved in this process, fully understood and appreciated what TIF districts and TID districts all meant. So this past November, Gary Becker of Veer Becker Associates was brought in to do an analysis with no guidance in terms of good or bad. Look at Monona's use of TIF financing. I highly recommend. This is probably one of the greatest reads you've ever. It's really. Go to mymonona.com, and I could not even have paid him to do such a positive response. we've been very successful and very judicious in the use of TIF funding. So if that does happen here, trust me, there will be a great watchdog process, and the public will be involved in every step of the way. Given the extent of the land assembly, demolition, and potential need for some environmental remediation, we believe these are essential tools to realize all of our goals and objectives for this site. As we have done consistently in the past, we will use these tools responsibly to ensure that any public investment in the project is clearly justified and fully transparent, and that the investment will result in returns that are many, many times greater for the city and all of our partner taxing jurisdictions, as the school board sits here in front of you. So the conclusions before I introduce our special guest. I truly believe this is a historic moment for the city of Monona, and that it will bring significant and long-lasting benefits to the entire community. There have been many highs and a few lows. As I mentioned, I was with my wife's birthday dinner last night, still negotiating some of this. But the last 11 months have just been incredible. But one of the best and most rewarding steps in this process has been our interaction with numerous state agencies who will be directly involved with many, if not all, aspects of this unique project. Early on in the process, we involved many agencies, including the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, the Department of Administration, the Department of Transportation, and state economic development organizations. We believed, and I hope rightfully so, as you will soon hear, that these meetings were a crucial part of our due diligence, especially with the Yahara River being the centerpiece of this project's plans. So before we take any questions, I'm so happy to introduce Mr. Mark Aquino, who is the DNR's Regional Director. Mark, we are thrilled to have you here today, and all your staff. If the DNR staff, who's all present, could just raise their hand. We have great state presence here. So Mr. Mark Aquino.
Thank you, Mayor Miller. In Wisconsin, we're fortunate to have thousands of lakes and rivers. And we know that our neighboring state to the northwest that has a football team that wears purple uniforms, think theirs are pretty special, but we really believe ours are very special here in this state. And for the last 150 years or so, our waterways have been critical transportation facilities. They've generated power, been sources of food and water, and terrific sources for recreation. And that's why we're so excited to be involved in the very early stages of a project like this, which has the goal of redeveloping land that will ultimately lead to improvements in water quality and much more public access to those waterways. Mayor Miller mentioned the early discussions that the city has initiated with the various different partners, the state agencies. And we can't thank the city of Monona enough for bringing us in very early. And we found that our work on these types of projects goes so much more smoothly, and we end up with such a better product if we can be involved early on in the discussions. We can help shape the project. The project developer understands what's going to be important for the environmental protection, and in this case, the enhancement of public access, and it's a very productive working relationship. So, without going on too much, we would really like to, again, thank the city for involving us early. We congratulate the city for its vision, and we look forward to working with the city and any other partners as the details of this project move forward. So, thanks again.
Thank you very much, Mark. And as we open the floor to questions, there are so many people that I need to thank. And normally at a press conference with my media background, everyone would be back here. That would mean no one would be in these chairs because all of you are responsible for the success. So I apologize that I'm not able to get, but I would like to acknowledge several individuals and companies who have played a key role leading up to this morning's announcement. First, our city administrator and our economic development director, Mr. Pat Marsh, ably assisted by our city planner and assistant economic development director, Sonia Reichert. With the Monona City Council members who are present here this morning, I'd like to thank Alder Wood, Alder Jim Bussey, Alder Kathy Thomas, please stand. No, I'm not done. I just wanted, Alder Spate, Alder Holmquist, Brian Holmquist, and Alder Mary O'Connor. Thank you so much for your support in this process. The community development chaired by Tom Stolper, who's in Arizona on a golf course right now. And it shows where his priorities are. But I see several of the members. Could the members please wave from the CDA? Oh, the CDA is here in full force. Thank you very much. I've previously mentioned City Attorney Bill Cole, who kept me on the straight and narrow as we went through this, or at least I hope he kept me on the straight and narrow. Bill, where are you hiding? There he is in the middle. Did former mayor and current state representative Rob Call make it? He was hoping to. He's in a hearing this morning, but he had hoped to sneak in. But we are fortunate to have former Mayor Richard Litchfield with us this morning. The rock star with the sunglasses here. So. Thank you, Mayor Dip.
I do want to say one thing.
Uh-oh.
I have to congratulate you on this because Tom Metcalf and I, 20 years ago, talked about this project and we were going to move into this when we completed Broadway. I'm glad to see you're doing it.
All right, thank you. And that's a compliment that means a lot to this guy. So probably one of the biggest thank yous. I have multiple offices in my life, but this building has become a major office, and I think I have security access to roam through here at night. So, no, but I really want to thank Paul Hoffman from Monona State Bank standing in the back, and his entire staff. The sight lines from the top floor of this building really show the need for what we're trying to accomplish here. And Paul has given me access to his office and every other office for tours and with the state and everything. So thank you very much. And yep, Paul. Really? That would be great. I think it would give you a much greater appreciation of how this started to become. And again, I owe that beer. You find the grass up there. So green, natural grass. And then early on in the beginning of this, we had two major partners that helped again because I can always appreciate wizened advice. And two of the key players in this to get this off the ground were Madison Gas and Electric. Steve Krause is in the back. Everyone here, and Pam Christensen. We'll buy that beer at the nut. And as you can see, we don't have real great art skills at the city of Monona. So the CDA blessed that we brought Vanderwall Associates on board. Scott Harrington is here and has really helped. They have done projects around the world of magnitude, and for their support, I'm eternally grateful. And then finally, as is often the case in this position, I can't believe all the wonderful people I've met through being mayor, whether it's a grocery store, the farmer's market, or just any day in the street. And some of the best were the businesses that have partnered and we've acquired their properties. And I want to thank the Yacht Club, the Commodore, Tom Thompson is here, and his support in what we've been trying to do, working with us. And then Randy and all the business owners of the 5 properties that are now part of this project. I think it's the beginning of friendships that will go for the rest of my life. So with that, any of us are happy to entertain any questions. Sorry, Sonny, if I disappointed you. I am leaving for Ireland, but I am coming back. So, anyone have any questions? Yes, Mayor.
What is the status with the Metro sewer? There's a pressure sewer that was right under the old Metro Bank building.
Yeah, which is right at this corner is the pump station. That's pump station number 7. That happens to be the most used lift station in the entire Madison Metropolitan Sewer District. Being a homeowner further up the lake, as it's blowing the manholes off in my lawn twice of raw sewage, I know it's highly, highly used. Andrew Humber can attest to that as he's repaired my lawn in terms of the use. So what Madison Metropolitan Sewage District has done is began a year ago, and as you're driving Broadway and you see the road construction, they have built a huge new lift station across from Menards by the Beltline, a very green, sustainable, huge lift station, which will now become the biggest in capacity And that will offload a lot. We have the sewage passing through this right through here, all the way from DeForest and Wanakee, Easttown, all goes through here. So they're going to take the pressure off this one. I don't think many people even realize what's there. We're not touching that. It's going to be joined to the new lift station. They landscape it. They take utmost care. There's outside dining right here, and there's no effect from that. So I welcome, and we'll have MMSD incorporated in all aspects.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you were mentioning a little earlier about the speed of this process. You were saying that you were told it was going to take 5 years, but it looks like you did this in less than half that. What are some of the maybe obvious and not so obvious benefits of the velocity of this project?
We're in an amazing county, an amazing region, and it's very competitive for businesses to come to. And I get along great with my peers at Fitchburg, Sun Prairie, Middleton, that have great cities, but they have so much more. I mean, I have no free land. I don't have 40 acres to give somebody to build a new process. So we have to be light on our toes. I have the support of the county executive. I have the support of the Regional Chamber of Commerce. I had a meeting with Mayor Soglin canceled this week, but I'm assuming he will be very supportive. We've spoken about the need to improve this. But competitively, I kind of like today's paper when I saw the headlines about some developers who are done with the progress of the city of Madison and how, and again, I'm not casting any aspersions. I just asked those major developers, come check us out. And we have some developers today who I think could speak to how it works. And again, it's not that we miss anything. It's just we'll meet when you need to meet, morning, noon, or night. And so I think that we're a little more dexterous. We're smaller and lighter on our feet than perhaps some of our nearby cities. Yes, sir.
And you were talking about the early entry into this project and how it's beneficial for the communication back and forth. What are some things that you look for lakefront development-wise, the do's and don'ts, and things that you really question?
Well, and as the mayor has mentioned, we can help projects move along much more quickly when there are discussions at the conceptual level, so that the developer can bring us permit applications that are easier for us to approve. And really cut down the time back and forth on the discussion. Some of the things that we would be looking at the very conceptual front end of a project that we are right now would be how stormwater would be managed, what type of impacts there might be to the waterfront, the public access component, things of that nature.
Protecting the environment, and we're talking about waterfront, it doesn't look like you're adding pieces.
No, there won't be, but we have concepts. In my mind, I have a vision, but we don't want to present that because we want to hear from the professionals what they might be. But we can envision making changes and alterations perhaps to the Yahara. And so that obviously, because the waterways are owned by the public of the entire state, and there's fish we need to look out for. There are a number of steps. I feel that Yahara can be greatly enhanced for its utilization and its direct linkages to the public. And obviously, I need this man to be very, very open-minded to our prudent use of that. So stay tuned. This, again, is the first step of what I think is going to be an exciting process.
At this early stages, we can have very open conversations of what existing regulations that might apply allow to set sideboards for the discussion, and I think it helps have a much more efficient visioning and leading to details of the project.
Yes, sir.
I have a couple of questions on financial issues. How much did the city pay to acquire these 5?
There was some direct purchase because in the circumstances, and I won't belabor the point, but 2 of the properties are directly under ownership. We used LLCs. And the reason for any underneath the radar of this is because we all know the deep pockets of the city are unlimited. And so, and through the uses we've done successfully in the past of bringing third parties to help negotiate, again, in a very open process. So 2 of the properties were acquired. 3 of them are multi-year options so that we can execute ourselves. Or, again, I'm not anxious to own this very long as the city. So hopefully the developer is going to come in. We're going to work with the developer to gain total purchase access to that. But to get to your question, we've invested about $2 million in the process. This is worth a little over $7 million in assessed value on those 10 acres. 7.5 of those acres now are under our jurisdiction. We will be creating a redevelopment district where anything that happens, even Paul can't change this beautiful building without running it through the city. So it will be a controlled effort. And to go back, I may have been born at night, but it wasn't last night. I'm a big believer the economy's changing. And when I saw EDS close and I saw the landscaping start to deteriorate, that bothered me as I drove past there every day. And knowing that the economy was getting better and that eventually someone was going to come in with some and piecemeal this, and I just couldn't have. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. So that's where I thank everyone who's supported this effort, because we've done something a year ago I would have thought was hogwash. So. Any other questions? Paul? Okay, yeah, that's a good point. And which is better, the board or the slide? The board? Okay, so the one that really triggered it all was the former Ruby's Restaurant, Diagonal. It's been empty for over 8 years. There's a graffiti artist blackboard, and that's the one I heard the most about. You know, why can't we get a better restaurant? What, you know, it's ugly, it wasn't real well taken care of. So that was a purchase. Chase Bank had gone through, that building had gone through some economic challenges, and that was a deep swallow. We were up against the clock in that in terms of some other people who were interested in acquiring that. So Pat is becoming the new landlord of that building shortly. Bridge Lounge, the Noltner family, just been a treat. So we have an option on their property. As of 7:39 last night, we have an option on the EDS building. And then we have Randy Kesnick here from Inland Boat Works, who's just been a treat to work with. And we have an option on that beautiful property. And obviously, linchpin. Again, as I mentioned, the Yacht Club is a private club with 200 shareholders. And so it's a different entity. And in all of our discussions, we've always felt 2 things. I think it's great to have a marina. So I don't know how this might unfold, but just personally, it's nice when your motor breaks that you can go somewhere. And there's going to always be room for the yacht club in this, and perhaps they'll want to join, or I don't know where this will lead. And then the bank, again, there are multi-year leases on a lot of this. You know, it's a complex process, but there's nothing that I see at all daunting in that process. Anyone else? I can't tell you enough how much I thank each and every one of you, 1 for attending, 2 for those of you who've been supportive of the mission, and stay tuned. This is a Nike city, so we just do it. Good. Welcome. Have a great day and a great weekend.